How do I feel about this? This is just no good, right? We've got a creature land where, like, average 6 is almost certainly better than this, right? Seems like not stellar either, but it's probably fine. We have a 2-drop into a 4-drop. Hopefully we can scry into a 3-drop or potentially a better 2-drop here. Artifact spells you cast have Convoke. Yeah, that's actually fantastic, right? Because that means we can play that on 2 and then go Lodestone on 3, Lodestone on 4. Seems pretty good. Definitely much better than our 7, right? Much better than our 7. Hello, Jacob Jeffrey. How you doing, bud? Boop, boop. There's a good chance this eats it here, I suppose. It's dead, Jim. Bloodstained Mire. Okay, so we bolted my thing, but they played Inspiring Vantage, so could they be burn? So this gives, I could add, so I could tap this to then cast this Walking Ballista. Seems okay. Yeah, just pure artifact mana. There's no combo finish in this deck. Yeah, this is an aggressive disruptive deck. It's actually very similar to humans, kind of, right? Only instead of tribal synergies, we've got artifact synergies going on with like Grand Architect. Into that same type of vein. Still on Tribal Zoo. Yep, someone said that, and then we had a donation. Thank you for the reminder again. Okay, Blue Steel. Let's fix that. Your Magic Online. API someday, please. Well, they've spent straw land here. Jam this Lodestone Golem down there. If we had a land here, we're going to be in a really great spot. It's looking like burn, and they've spent 6 points of damage killing our creatures so far. So that seems like... Jacob. Alright, get a little judgy here. I'm gonna fire up this Blinkmoth Nexus. This is the first match. First game, first match. This is a tad bit risky since we do want another land, but like, we have lands and things that make mana in our deck, so let's just like get our points of damage in while we can, I think. Skull Crack, sure. Okay, so it is in fact just straight burn. So like pretty excited that they spent 2 pieces of removal on creatures as opposed to just like killing us with that. We've like gained 6 so far. So Spears, sure. 4th land. The burn deck's so bad when it draws 4 lands. Yeah, no blocks here. Another Skull Crack, maybe? Yep, so we're going to 12. Okay. Let's just do this. And then we can do this. Cast this Lodestone Golem. It's pretty good. Pretty good for us. This only taps blue creatures, right? Untapped. And you can make other things blue. Okay, good. Just making sure I understood that. Golem block's okay, so we're looking to fade like Searing Blaze land here. Like if they spend another removal spell on this, like we're pretty okay with that, right? Idle on, bro. Idle on, Tid. Alright, well they're probably pretty toasted here, right? Like I get to go tap these two. I don't know how this card works at Magic Online. Cast this Lodestone Golem. And then I can make this... Actually, I should attack first, right? Opponent is done playing Magic the Gathering with us. But opponent, come back. My golems, they have so much to do, so much to live for. Come back, opponent. We're having fun. I was having fun, opponent. All right, so this is probably a Basilisk Collar matchup. Gives lifelink. Probably a Wurmcoil matchup. Spell Pierce matchup. Probably not. I'll cut this. The Smuggler's Copter out matchup. Weird. I don't even think I was... I think I was done hosting Decandio before I even went live. It said I wasn't hosting. Unless Twitch is really strange. You could all but one Ballista here. That makes sense. That makes sense. Card seems kind of medium. You're skeptical about the colors. You just think the lifelink isn't good enough. You could buy that for $1. I don't hate getting the Spell Pierce in my deck. Well, I guess like Spell Pierce with these isn't very good. Yeah, let's try this. And go either way there. I think Throne is great just because it helps you race. No, I don't do sideboard guides. Especially for a deck like Kiki Cord. So Kiki Cord's the type of deck where you should be changing the types of bullets and sideboard cards that you're playing depending on the decks you expect to face in your local format. And as soon as you change one or even two cards in a deck list, a sideboard guide becomes completely useless. If you want to get practice sideboarding with a deck like Kiki Cord, you should lay out all of your cards in front of you, and you should think about the matchups you want to sideboard in and try and figure out what are your 15 worst cards. In fact, I have a YouTube video. Talking about that. England sideboarding. It actually uses one of my old Kiki Cord deck lists as an example of how to build your sideboard and things you should think about. Hey, let me find that one for you. This deck can't tutor artifacts, right? Just like these one-ofs are there to... What if Kiki is one of your... I mean, it almost always is, right? Search for it. Having 3 monitors is great. Having 3 monitors is great. This is a sideboarding video. Yeah, seems pretty good, right? Get the lead on this. To play Chief Engineer. It does sound like work. So next turn I can go Chief Engineer plus Sculptor and then Signal Pest, right? Is that how that's gonna work? This is Alright, chat, we're gonna take some damages, but we're gonna do some stuff. We're gonna do some things. Yeah, we're actually we're one mana off of being able to cast this, right? It's unfortunate. So I can convoke these two, but it costs 3. Tilt. Yeah, I think, like Zach points out there, if you want that type of effect, you want ones that stack up. So like Golem and Thorn are a combo because they're additive. Whereas if you play something that's not additive, you're going to be, what's the word I'm searching for? You're going to have I shouldn't auto pass here because I have a Judge's Familiar. And we're gonna kill them pretty quickly here, right? Get to attack for 6 next turn. Killing my Judge's Familiar. That's so rude, opponent. That's so rude. We can get Searing. If they have Searing Blaze or Lightning Helix, we could potentially be in trouble. Searing Blaze kills a creature and hits us. Lightning Helix prevents. Are they getting another Sacred Foundry? Seems odd. We have a Helix for Chief Engineer. That's fine. So I get to play this Chief Engineer. I have to take 2 to do this. Probably like the last spell we're casting for now. And then I can cast this Lodestone Golem, tapping 1, 2, 3. I don't think I want to cast this Judge's Familiar with this Eidolon out. I think I want to just do this and then start smashing with my creatures, not take any more points of damage from this. Maybe I'm supposed to leave this back. I'm supposed to like knock it in 1 point there, and I'm supposed to like exhaust these 3 to cast this, so that way I can block their Eidolon in the event that they kill my Lodestone Golem. Yeah, that's probably what I'm supposed to have done there. Like, I traded 1 point of damage for likely taking 2 points of damage on the backswing. That's a little bit narrow. It's a Shard Volley. I think that attack was a little too frisky. It did put them down to an even health total, though, which is appealing because we're going to deal damage in even amounts. So, like, I get to attack for 6, so if they cast a spell, I get to go 6u, which is kind of appealing. So, like, it's nice from that aspect, but it kind of changes the clock a little bit if we take an extra 2 here. Okay, that's a spell that doesn't deal us damage. It kind of deals us damage, right? So, like, they're going to 12, I'm going to 8, and then I get to knock them to 6. Lodestone Golem. Basilisk Collar. Is that worthwhile? Okay, so I think because I drew this... Oh, this is free. This doesn't cost me mana to cast. That's nice. Alright, so I think the line here is... Since I drew this... I am supposed to equip this here... And then attack my opponent for 2. And leave back my Chief Engineer as a blocker, because if they want to deal 3 damage to my Chief Engineer with anything other than Searing Blades, we're pretty pleased with that result. So this buffers us up to 8, and then if we're not getting like land Searing Blades, we should be in a pretty reasonable spot. They're getting to a point where they're potentially getting locked out of the game by their own Eidolon of the Great Revel. Okay. They held the old Eidolon back there. Okay, so since they held Eidolon back, do I want to... I think I want to animate this and just slide the Basilisk Collar onto it. That way they can't block with their Eidolon, so that way the Eidolon works towards locking them out of the game, potentially. Hey, Bionic Broccoli, what's going on? If they kill this Blinkmoth Nexus here with the Basilisk Collar on it, that's still gaining us life in a way, right? Because like my opponent's now spent a card to interact with my Blinkmoth Nexus. And they're taking damage from their Eidolon of the Great Revel to do this. So we could get Skullcracked here, I guess. Oh, they're wear-tearing the... Are they wear-tearing the Nexus? Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. Do I have fancy monitors? It depends on what your definition of fancy is. My primary screen is a 27-inch 1440 screen, and then I have 2 side monitors that are just 21-inch 1080 screens. I just had 3 1080 matching 1080 screens for a while, but I got a good deal on a 1440, so here I am. Okay, so they just sent a bolt at our chief engineer there, and they're down to 6 now, so like they can only cast 3 more spells at this point. I read an article you wrote a while back about the Bant combo, Safi Rally or Blasting Station. I don't remember whatever came with that deck. There's so many things that we tried at different points. HP. Again, I didn't really shop around for it. I just like, my brother had it sitting collecting dust in his cabinet. So like he sold it to me for $100. It's like a $600 monitor. He sold it to me for $100 because he wanted to get it out of his closet. Do I want to... Can I beat a... Here's a question I have to ask myself. Can I beat a Boros Charm? So this attack screams Boros Charm, right? I feel like I can't beat a Boros Charm here. So, like, should I like, play around it? Because, like, if I go to 4, I'm going to cast a spell next turn anyways and die. So I think I'm just supposed to take this hit, and if we die to Boros Charm, we die to Boros Charm. Yeah, if we block, we're dead anyways. I agree with that assessment. I'll equip this here. I don't know, I feel like we're pretty far behind at this point. I just get to go ahead and kill my... You get to kill my Sculptor here. It's a Helix, maybe. Oh yeah, just never beating a Helix in this race. Let's head to the third game where we get to be on the play. Just have to take a little bit too much damage there. Opponent turn 2 Eidolon on the play. We just don't have a good answer to that, right? Yeah, you get happy with how we sideboarded. Let's just run it back. We'll get to get some spells in under an Eidolon this time, gain a few more points of health. It was close. If we would have had like 2 to 4 more points of health there, we'd have been more than okay, but we didn't, so we weren't. Would love to play first against Burn. Thank you for asking, Magic Online. Gosh, this hand is so close to being amazing. It's so close to being amazing. Pretty sure I have to mulligan this on the play, though. It's okay. It's not super exciting, but it's fine. Go Wanderer into Sculptor. I get a Scry here. Am I in the market for a Wurmcoil Engine? I feel like I'm not. I feel like that's a card I just want to like draw in the mid game. If I survive to get there, when I can already guaranteed cast it. I don't... Honestly, the only reason I like the 27-inch screen is because it just gives me more resolution. Like, all of the extra bells and whistles, I couldn't even tell you the refresh rate on here. Etherium Sculptor, pass the turn. Maybe. I thought they had 4 that turn. I could be incorrect. But maybe they wouldn't have gotten a double spell if I had that there. But then, like, I'm down 2 points of health. So, like, I die a turn earlier. No, it's close. That's gross. It's a very rude opponent. Ding. Ding. Uplift. They're made by a company called Human Solutions. 10 out of 10 recommend a standing desk of some sort. They are such good purchases. You're someone that sits at home and uses the computer a lot, your body will thank you for having a standing desk. Definitely huge quality of life improvement. Actively feel better. Okay, so playing these doesn't do anything. I guess I'm just gonna attack for 1 to start. I can't play both of these because this costs 2 and then this costs 2. I think I'm just gonna play this first. Either of them die to bolts potentially. This will be a 2/2 when it comes into play. Three mana 2/2 hype. What a powerful and unfair card. Getting bolted here. Feels like I'm about to get bolted. It's interesting. My opponent's build must be a little bit different than the stock ones. Wear Tear out of the sideboard as opposed to Destructive Revelry probably means they don't have access to green. What do you got here, opponent? I think I'd rather have a Master of Etherium than a Mausoleum Wanderer. I think that's true. I assume my Master of Etherium is dead here. Tilt. This. They're at 16, but we're at 17. This is the first time I've ever played this deck, so I couldn't tell you how we're supposed to sideboard or not. I feel like if our opponent is spending removal spells on all of our creatures, we're probably in an okay spot, so I think it's fine to leave it in here. It's $200. That's like double what I paid for my 27-inch screen that's $1440. Is our deck good? Genuinely don't know. I feel like at a glance, its level of busted modern thing probably isn't appropriate for the format, but it's doing kind of cute things, and lock pieces are kind of good. Oh, we got opponent. Searing Blaze. Sad. Haha! I have replaced my 1/2 with another 1/2. I have replaced my 1/2 with a second 1/2. Like, our burn opponent's drawn 5 lands here, and it feels like we're still behind. So, like, that's probably not a good sign. Like, usually when the burn deck draws 5 lands, you want to be like, alright, they drew 5 lands, we're having a pretty good time here. This game, I feel like we're just kind of in trouble. Unbanned Twin with the $2 donation. Yes, they can and should unban Twin. It's been way too long since I heard a Hoogle rant. Here's some free money to do a rant of your choice. A rant of my choice? Oh man, now people are paying me. Strangers on the internet are sending me money to yell at other strangers on the internet. This is like the greatest racket I've ever created. Well, the donation name was Unbanned Twin, right? So it feels like that's a really easy segue to remind any Wizards of the Coast R&D members who may or may not be watching this stream. I don't know, they probably don't, right? Like, I assume every time I sign online, someone at the WotC office cringes because I'm streaming their game. It's probably a good time to say that, like, you know, Storm kills you on turn 3, can kill you on turn 2 with an absolutely nuts draw. They can untap on the 3rd turn with no permanence and then kill you that same turn. But Splinter Twin, a combo that always loses, always, 100% of the time, loses to creature removal is too good for the format. And I've heard other people talk about things like they think Storm is fine and Splinter Twin is too good. I don't understand how you can be a logical individual and like, or have a good grasp on like how games work and think that Storm is fine but Splinter Twin is too good, right? No, I can't cast this. This cost me 5. I have 4 mana. 4 mana. Womp womp womp. Rift Bolt. I think I'm gaining 2 with this Judge's Familiar. It feels like I want to game 2 here. It's like hope to rip a land or a Grand Architect here. All right. Well, this is almost certainly not good enough. We're going to put into play anyways. That's almost certainly not good enough at this point. But I know, Burgle. We were talking. You probably missed it if you just got here, but I talked about how the burn deck drew 5 lands and we're still going to lose this game. Do you need a diaper change? Did you poop? Yeah. Alright, well, we're dead. I'll be right back. I need to go. You'll be a father real quick. We're gonna battle some more with blue steel, and then we've got a couple other interesting decks coming up today. We're gonna play 3 or 4 different things. We had a donation to cut the line, so we're gonna play a Fauna Shaman deck next that I haven't tweeted yet because they paid to cut the line, and I'll be right back after I change the diaper. Did I ever tell you you're gross? Yeah, I've told you you're gross. Kids are gross. I love you anyway, but sure. Yeah. Styrofoam. Your brother's obnoxious, huh? Work all the styrofoam up. Alright, let's find a match. I'm gonna run upstairs, get my cardio in, throw the diaper out, and we'll battle. Oh, good timing, good timing, good timing. I missed a donation. Yundingo, the $2 donation. I didn't know I could give you money to yell at people. Here's money to rant about the next guy you banned. Those are my favorite. The potty training is slow rolling. We sit on the toilet at least once a day, but this hand's great, right? We have to go pooper into pooper into pooper into pooper. Just like get our Throne of the God-Pharaoh on. Gonna aggro him out here. Aggro him out. Of course it's a fast match. This is PT's tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody, like 500 Pro Tour competitors are crushing into Magic Online right now. Just get them. So for those of you that are new to how our cards work, we get to lead on this on 1. And then this gives our artifacts Convoke, which is like Court of Calling. So they can then tap Engineer plus Mausoleum Wanderer to play Etherium Sculptor. And then Etherium Sculptor will make this cost 1, and then it can pay to Convoke it out. Give slow play warnings for potty trading. No blocks here. Ooh, that's a Walking Ballista. That makes our hand even better, right? So I get to do this. And then our crushing it and getting no value playing. Ain't that the truth? Whoa. This is a competitive league. That automatically means our deck is competitive, chat. Alright, so I can pay 1 here. Done. This is getting paid for X's 1. And now I can do this off of this. Oh, baby. End step. Trigger. This is my throne. My throne is amazing. Nice burn deck, opponent. And our Storm is 3. Storm is 4. Go. I'm surprised Magic Online handled all those cost discounts. Ain't that the truth? Everything worked according to plan. Thank you. You can set it right there. Finish your roll later. Mess up my lap. Oh, only brain freeze was legal in modern. Mismatch goblin guides. Gross. Alright. Maybe I was supposed to game through with that Mausoleum Wanderer there. If I'm being honest, I was auto-passing. Alright, buddy. I gotta turn this down a touch. If the people on the internet hear your cartoons, they're gonna want to go watch cartoons instead of watching your dad. And your dad needs them to watch him. Alright, so... I think there's a lot of different things they could do. So they probably can't kill me next turn, right? So I should just, like, smash them. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then 4 more is 11. I think I want to leave Grand Architect back here. I could tap him to just, like, float mana and then get an extra damage in. But that's not lethal, so I'm just going to leave him back as a blocker. Pretty low chance that we lose here. So I could have dealt 1, 2 more, but opponent's at 3, so that, like, really doesn't matter. I just, like, don't understand why we need big mana decks in the format. So, like, modern Magic design principles are pretty firm on that, like, destroying people's lands is unfun and uninteresting Magic, and I largely agree with that design principle. But, like, if that's the design principle we're going with, you can't really have these lands that are difficult to interact with in the format that demands you interact with them. So, like, if you don't want people to blow up lands, then you shouldn't put lands that require you to blow them up in the format. It's basically the TLDR on that one. I do actually think Cloud Post is worse than Tron lands would be in Modern. A big part of the power in the Tron lands in Modern is their ability to make 7 mana on turn 3 to cast Karn consistently. And if you do either a large amount of manual trials or rough mathematical simulation, the Cloud Post lands are much, much worse than Tron lands at producing 7 mana on 3. Like, significantly worse. Riftbolt, sure. Ooh, we've got some golems, chat. We've got some golems. My precious golem. worse as in they do it less consistently, because in order to make 7 mana with Cloud Post lands on turn 3, you have to go Cloud Post on 1 into Vesuva or Cloud Post on 2 into exactly Glimmer Post on 3. And a big part of what makes the Tron lands consistent in assembling their turn 3 is that they come into play untapped, so you can use them for mana for maps and stars and spheres. And because the Cloud Post lands come into play tapped, they don't allow you to do that, which is a big deal. Oh, I don't think we're winning now. I think we could have beaten that. I think we could have beaten that first Searing Blaze in the draw, but the second Searing Blaze in the draw is kind of a beating. It's kind of Seasons beatings. No, not usually Snack Size Biscuit. Sometimes they play what's the Candelabra of Tawnos, but not really. This is a pretty easy block here, right? They have to cast 2 spells to punish me. Famous last words. If they have 2 spells, we're dead anyways. So, like, if they have enough spells to kill the Grand Architect, they would have killed us. So, yeah, easy block there. We're not winning this game. Let's just go ahead and pack it in here. I don't think Cloud Post would be that good in Modern right now. So the Cloud Post lands are much better at making Eldrazi Titan size manas on turns 4, 5, and 6. But like Modern by and large, like the decks that lose to Eldrazi Titans on turns like 4, 5, 6 lose to Karns and Wurmcoils anyways. So like, why would you want to put these slower, clunkier cards in your deck to beat decks that are going to lose to your less slow and less clunky cards like Wurmcoil and Karn? Yes, they go over the top better, but like you don't need to go over the top by that much more to beat the mid-range and the control decks that are in Modern. Like Jeskai and Green-Black already have abysmal Tron matchups. I don't need to go to Emrakul the Aeon's Torn to lock up my matchup against Jeskai. I just need to like play Karns and stuff. Well, there aren't a lot of ways to cast him on 4, 5, and 6, but there's ways to get him into play, right? So I think saying you can cast him on 4, 5, and 6 anyways is kind of disingenuous, but like you definitely get him into play. They play Ulamog and they play Emrakul, and also for reference, Cloud Post is not a tiered deck in Legacy. It's like tier 2.5, tier 3 at best. It does not put up consistent results. When you look and see it in the top 8, you're like, oh, that's kind of neat. That's not a deck that usually top 8s. I think I'm supposed to Thorn on 2 since I have it. Hopefully they don't idle on us here. Yeah, I agree. I think the Karn axis of the Tron decks give them a lot of staying power against matchups that would be very bad for the Cloud Post decks. And again, I feel like people undervalue the tempo loss that you have playing lands that come into play tapped in Modern like Cloud Post does. We're gonna live tweet the PT. If so, might I suggest? Yeah, probably. I'll make a hashtag. I think I'm gonna live tweet the Modern portion of the PT. That sounds like a good time. That sounds amusing. Okay, so do I want to play Grand Architect Signal Pest here, or do I want to go Mausoleum Wanderer Judge's Familiar Signal Pest? I think I just want to go Grand Architect Signal Pest here. I just want to do this. No, the Modern portion of the PT is on both days. So the Pro Tour is 3 rounds of Limited, followed by 5 rounds of Constructed on day 1. And then there's a cut to day 2 where everyone has a 4-4 record or better advances. Then there's another 3 rounds of Limited, followed by another 5 rounds of Constructed. Good on T1 DRS. So I assume I'm losing my Mausoleum Wanderer here. Yes, and then the top 8 on Sunday will be modern as well. Limited is abysmal to watch. I'm really looking forward to the 25th anniversary Pro Tour this summer because it's going to have only modern or only constructed. It's going to be the team constructed format like Star City. Star City got people to start doing. So I'm really looking forward to that. Any argument that going like Cloud Post is Sue in the first stars that we bet 9 mana on 3? Well, you don't have 9 mana on 3. Cloud Post enter play tap, so you'd only have 6 mana on 3. That's how Cloud Post works. That's why they're slow and clunky. Killing my Grand Architect? Yeah. Yep. We've played against Burn twice. I can only come to the conclusion this is not a good matchup. Part of the reason I'm not going to live cast the Pro Tour, I don't even know if WotC allows it or not. It's just a lot of work. I'd rather just like stream Magic content for that. Have you looked at my donation deck list queue? It's huge. If I'm going to spend time streaming, I need to like take decks out of the donation queue. Really need to work through that. We're going to be adding extra stream time to make sure the donation queue stays pseudo manageable. I've come to the conclusion that all it can ever do is grow. Like no matter how many I play each week, there's always more the next week, but it's a good problem to have, I've decided. Hey, what's going on, Anoronics? Boros Charm. Alright, well I'm going to cash this in as a gain 4 at this point. No, I don't think so. So I give people the option to send extra money to guaranteed see their donation deck list sooner, and I think I'd much rather do that rather than charge more money to get in the baseline. Because I want people to be able to have it to be accessible. I think having too many is definitely a better problem than not enough. And like I do give some priority to people who have been in there longer, so I'd much rather just like leave people who want to be impatient, want to see their thing sooner, or just want to throw more money at me, give them the option to send extra to see it sooner. But like not everybody has a bunch of extra spending money, and I want everyone to be able to participate. Like $12 isn't a ton of money, so like I want people that can only send that much in to like be able to participate in it and like see their neat thing. Outsource parts of your list to another stream. Yeah, Overwatch has been a gas. All right, so we're dead here. I could have sacrificed one of these to not be dead this turn, but we're pretty dead overall. I think we're gonna stream some Overwatch later on when I get a chance to play it a little bit more. I have a commitment. My wife and I are cooking tonight, but I think maybe tomorrow night after the post PT stream, maybe we'll play some Overwatch post Magic. A lot of fun. What's going on? Yeah, I think we could play some sub games. It's really quick game to play, right? I played like 6 or 7 matches and played that in like less than 10 hours. Ponza did not happen yet. I've been playing Soldier 76 because he's a grumpy old man. It's been a lot of fun. I feel like I can really embody what Soldier 76 represents about gaming. He just like has all these stories talking about like how things used to be, and I'm like, this is how I feel when I play a first-person shooter. Like I played a ton of Counter-Strike Source back in college. Like that was the game I grew up on during high school and undergrad, and just like haven't touched a shooter in years. All right, so this is just Etherium Sculptor, and then we can't do anything else this turn quite yet, right? Next turn, we can play Master of Etherium. Dismember. It's rude. Are they infect? Yeah, looks like infect. Okay. That's scary. So we could be dead next turn, right? He'll preface every statement. Yeah, you're not wrong. Another bladed agent. So we actually push a lot of damage next turn, right? So I get to play this. Is it worth playing this Judge's Familiar out? So if I power this up, these hit for 3, so that's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it's actually lethal and requires a chump block. Alright, let's do it. I believe I've counted correctly. I believe this is 12 points of damage if I attack with everything. Let's find out. Let's find out if that math degree was worth the money. And by that I mean the state of Illinois paid for it, so whatever. Yeah, looks like exactly 12 here. I mean, Ephro's been a pretty vocal proponent about like things to like and dislike about Modern for a while. And yeah, I agree with a lot of his assessments. Like if I like, I'm excited to watch people play Modern on the Pro Tour, but if I was competing in the Pro Tour, I would be super frustrated trying to pick a deck. Like, yeah, it's just all right. Am I dead? Am I dead? Am I dead? Looks like I'm dead. All right, good stuff, good stuff. So there's a difference between not being easy and being impossible. Modern doesn't offer you a deck choice where like you can minimize, like Modern's a tough sell because there isn't a 50% deck in the format right now. And I think that's a problem from a format that you want to be a Pro Tour format. I think you want your Pro Tour format to include a 50% deck. So if people want to play something where they can have close matchups and practice a lot and grind a deck and get like not get blown out anywhere, ideally if they're playing good Magic. Like I think that's something you want in a competitive format. All right, so these dismembers are great. I think the Thorn effects are great. Walking Ballista is obviously great, right? Master of Etherium seems okay. I don't know what I want to cut. Maybe this Throne of the God-Pharaoh. Like these Masters of Etherium. Is that unreasonable? I guess he's probably... Nah, Grand Architect lets us cheat our mana a little bit. I'm gonna be a coward and split these. I guess Smuggler's Copter might not be very good. Alright, let's do that. Alright, let's do this. Then people whine about a solved format. So, there's this mentality that solved formats... You're getting extra rants today. The people that wanted rants, we're gonna get a couple extra ones in the day. There's this mentality that a solved TCG format means it's a bad TCG format, and I don't fundamentally believe that to be true. I think there's been plenty of instances of Magic formats in the history of Magic where we were aware of pretty much what all the good decks were in that format, but they were still enjoyable to play. Like, there were 4 or 5 good decks, and they generated interesting and dynamic gameplay. Just because a format is solved doesn't mean it has to be unenjoyable to play. I think a good example of that was when Con Standard was happening. We had those, and I get that people, whenever I bring up Con Standard, people are like, it was expensive. Like, price aside, that format was very good. Like, there were 3 or 4 different decks that were all tier 1. Like, if you wanted to take them into a tournament, you knew that you were going to, if you played well, you were going to have a reasonable chance to win any matchup that you were playing. And there was a diverse selection of strategies that you could play in that format. But we knew about them, but there was still a lot of choices there. I think banning things preemptively because they limit design space in the future is silly. I think if you eventually print a card that turns something into a problem, sure, then go ahead and ban that thing. But like, why do we need to ban things preemptively? Like, I don't understand the idea that, like, okay, this thing might be a problem in the future, so we're gonna ban it now. Why can't I just play with it for the time being if it's not gonna be a problem until we get somewhere into the future? I think Modern is great for like what a lot of people are looking to get out of Magic. Like, there's more reasons to play a game like Magic than just giving yourself the best chance to win. Like, I like playing Magic because I like solving puzzles, right? Like, that's why I have a math degree. Like, math problems are tiny puzzles, and I play games of Magic to put myself in interesting situations where I have to figure out, okay, what's the best possible thing I can do in this given situation to give myself the best chance to win. Press F to pay respects to Heraza, ain't that the truth? Here, go ahead, dismember this guy while they're tapped out. I even got Spellskite's opponent. That was so rude. That's so rude. I just can't play this deck anymore. Iron Guthix, if you're watching this on YouTube in the future, or if you're here now, I'm gonna need you to change your other blue steel donation deck. This deck is just, it's super anemic. It's not, I didn't feel like it was very interesting to play, and the things it was doing weren't particularly powerful. So I don't really know that I have constructive feedback on how I would go about making this deck better. It just didn't feel like it was doing generically powerful things. That's so, yeah, I just wasn't terribly impressed with this one. So kind of medium. All right, anywho, we've got plenty of other